Welcome to Journey Home to Self. This is a place for us to explore the milestones, the roadblocks, the pit stops, and the breathtaking sights on the most important journey of our lives, the journey of coming back home to you. My hope is that through the stories, insights, knowledge, and wisdom we share here, you get inspired and activated to widely fall in love with choosing yourself every single moment. I'm your host, Deepshikha Sairam, and I am truly so excited and honored that you are here. Let's dive in and journey home to self together. Hi friends, welcome back to Journey Home to Self. I hope you're having the most wonderful week in the most wonderful time of the year. I almost want to break into a song here, but I don't want you to leave just yet. December. Wow. This month brings up a lot, doesn't it? Closing down one year, looking back, planning for the holidays, Christmas shopping, looking ahead. It's a lot. For years, I have looked for a way to be able to synthesize the lessons of the current year and plan for the next year in a way that feels good and is actually productive. Like, I don't want to walk away with some just wishy-washy hopes and dreams. I want to walk away with some real, tangible stuff. And I've tried everything: planners of all kinds, courses, time management, intention setting, goal setting, burning, everything, all of it. And nothing has ever worked totally, to be honest. But last year, my friend introduced me to this resource called Ear Compass. It's absolutely free to use. You can download it at earcompass.com. You don't even have to give them your email address. It's a direct download, and it's not some shitty free thing that you get on the internet. I was so surprised by how well thought out it was and how deep it goes into all areas of your life. I did it last year, and I have to say the intentions and the lessons and the goals that I walked away with felt very congruent with where I was. So I decided to do it this year as well. By the way, this is not sponsored by Ear Compass at all. They don't even know that I'm doing it. It is absolutely a free resource, and it is me just being a big fan of this amazing, useful resource. I've recommended it to a lot of my peers and friends. There's a booklet that you can print it out or you can fill it on your computer, and it has two parts. There's one for the current year and one for the next one. So for this year, there's one for 2022 and there's one for 2023. The first question on the booklet itself takes you right into your fields. It asks you to go through your year week by week. So you'll have to actually open up your calendar and go through week by week and note down any important events, significant projects, any family get-togethers, anything that is worth remembering and noting down. Now, this question itself can bring up a lot of resistance. I just pulled out my Ear Compass for last year, and I noted that I had not filled it up as best as I could have. In fact, I just had 4 to 5 sentences. And I think I know why. I had so much resistance in looking at my schedule, looking at my week by week, that I just didn't do it the way that they were asking to. This year, I went all in and I have 2 pages. 2 pages. And I have to tell you, there were so many feelings. I had to take multiple breaks. I had to breathe. Tears were streaming. It was definitely triggering. But what I realized was that when you do it the way they ask you to, and I am pretty sure that there is some science and research behind the way that they have proposed the questions and they have formulated this booklet. And when you are able to go week by week, you are able to look at exactly what happened in your year and look at the events in black and white rather than looking at one full block of year and using just a few words to describe it. Like, my year was shit, or my year was great, or my year was full of sadness, or my year was awesome. It was lovable, whatever words that you use to describe your year. I think we are more complex than that, right? We are more complex than putting everything in just one word. 365 days in a year. And we are on this journey. And there's so much juice that you can actually take away from week by week, day by day, month by month. And this question, in my opinion, helps you to see everything that happened in black and white. In my experience, it also helps you see how the events have unfolded. And in my case, I could clearly see how A and B had to happen, even though how painful it was. But it had to happen in that exact order so that I can get to C. I couldn't have got to C. Like, I couldn't be sitting here producing this podcast week by week if those events would not have happened. And it just gives me so much gratitude and perspective and insight into my year and the events and everything on my journey. I also know that writing is an extremely somatic experience. When you write, you can release a lot of trauma from your body. That's why journaling is so valuable. So this was definitely very healing for me. There were some events that I had not fully processed, or I just put it at the back of my brain to be revisited later. And through this question, I was able to revisit and write about it and release a lot of stuff. After I was finished with my review of 2022, I definitely had some very valuable lessons and insights from this year. These lessons are a testament to being on the journey home for me. I want to share 2 lessons here with you all. To me, these have been a big release of energy that was before invested in a lot of agony and pain. My first lesson: I'm a work in progress. I may never be able to get it right. I may never be able to quit people pleasing completely, stop worrying about who likes me or how unlikable I can be sometimes. I may never be able to say the perfect thing, and that is okay. I am completely okay with my humanness. I'm not perfect, but I'm still enough. I still matter, and I still belong. And these were things that were really hard for me before. Now, I can say these things to you too, that you are enough, you matter, you belong. But I know that unless you get to the core of who you really are, you will not start believing it completely. You can say affirmations, I can tell you the same. And I know this because everyone told me this all the time. My friends, my family, my clients, my coaches, they all told me you belong, you matter, you're a rock star, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't believe it. I believe it only today because I reached the bottom of my being and plucked out every belief, everything that I believed about myself, and looked at it, shone a bright light on it, and asked, are you the absolute truth? Are you true? Always? All the time? And the answer almost always was no, with every belief that I took out, especially if it was a disempowering belief. I always believe that I am unlikable. Always. Just the other day, I tagged someone in my story and she did not story me back. And my immediate conclusion was, oh, see, you're so unlikable. No one likes you. She doesn't like you. She hates you. And that's why she didn't story you back. She storied the other person. She didn't story you. But then I had to separate myself, and I say self with a lowercase s, from myself with the uppercase self, my higher self. I had to separate my ego from my higher self and ask, is it true? Is it always true? Is it really true that I'm unlikable? And it's not. Yeah, I bet there are lots of people in the world who do not like me. Maybe you don't. I know my neighbor doesn't like me very much because I hate Trump. But is it true that I'm unlikable? No, it's not. My kids like me a lot. My husband not only likes me, but he finds me hot even when I am a hot mess. My friends like me, and my dog Cleo, he really, really likes me. I think he likes me the most. It has taken me years to get here. By the way, as a side note, this inquiry where you ask your questions, your belief questions, is it true? Is it really true? Can you say for certain that it's true at all times? It's from Byron Katie's methodology called The Work. She has 4 questions that you ask yourself, and you're able to release a lot. You're able to really see black and white what holds true and what does not hold true. Now, I also believe that I am not enough all the time. There are times when I believe that I'm not enough. And I myself don't like myself sometimes. And sometimes I falter, but that is still fine. That is the human part of me. And that lesson that I derived after doing the ear compass was really valuable. I could finally be okay and not judge me. My favorite thing this year has become, especially when I'm judging myself or anyone else, is we always do the best we can with the resources we have. So maybe in a situation I felt not enough, or maybe in a situation I said something or I did something and I don't like myself a lot. I just forgive myself and move on from it. I am able to forgive others easily as well. So that was my first insight. I'm a work in progress. I'm a human. I am who I am, period. My second lesson, which is huge for me, it's huge this year, is that I do not have to be a victim. I do not have to give my power away to situations, to people, to circumstances. Again, it's taken me years to get here. Now, this does not mean that situations cannot suck and people aren't perpetrators. It also doesn't mean that I will never be victimized or I was not victimized. It just means that I don't have to stay as a victim the rest of my life. Every bad thing that has happened to me and you have sucked ball and ass, big time. And people who have been malicious about hurting us need to be told so, and they need to learn a lesson. In some case, execute it. I'm kidding, of course, but then again, it depends on where you live and what the laws are. Especially those acts that have been criminal. But I can only give my power away till the time I allow myself to be victimized by it again and again. And I no longer give my consent to it. I don't. I'm sorry. It happened to me 20 years ago. I'm not going to carry that 100-pound monkey on my back forever, all my life. This year, and I'd say the last half of the year, I've lived my life like this. That I choose to either let my circumstances empower me or victimize me. I make the choice, not anyone else. You are not your circumstance. You are not your mom. You are not your dad. You're not your boyfriend or your husband or a rogue client or boss or ex-lover. You are bigger than your environment. And you can choose to let it victimize you or empower you. This feeling, it's liberating for me. In Hermetic philosophy, occult teachings by the wisdom keeper Hermes, who was an incarnation of thought, one of the Hermetic laws is called the principle of rhythm. And it says everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. That's one of the laws of the Hermetic philosophy. The swing of the pendulum to the right tells us how far it will swing to the left. The adepts and the masters of Hermetics, the individuals who have attained any degree of self-mastery, they use this rising above the situation, not being victimized, as a method to counteract and neutralize the effects of the pendulum. So to counteract the negative swing on the left. It's a very important part of mental alchemy. By refusing to participate and by rising above the rhythm, they refuse to participate in the negative swing of the victimization. They rise above it and they escape the effects of it. As a side note, I'm an ardent Hermetic student. I channel thought from time to time and I love the teachings. They're so profound yet so simple. They're hiding in plain sight. It may seem like ordinary for some, yet for those who have eyes and ears for it, it can become alchemical and great wisdom. If you're interested, definitely go research more on it. It'll definitely call to you. This is something that will call to you. It'll just appear out of nowhere when you're ready. The point here being that when you refuse to become a victim of your circumstances, of your situations around you, you're able to rise above the situation. And then you refuse to participate in the swing. And you might still feel the swing because we are human. Remember my first lesson? We are human. You might still feel the swing, but it doesn't go to the extreme end and you don't stay there. You're able to bounce back from it much, much faster. Just this week, both my kids have been sick. Actually, since December started, everybody has been sick or some accident has been happening. We've had multiple trips to urgent care, and every plan that I had so far for this month has been kicked to the curb. And I did feel my frustration rising, my irritations rising. My husband was traveling. I was alone with the kids, the dog, everything. And I was like, oh my God, my plans, my plans, my plans. And why does this have to happen? I am so tired of this and I'm having to do all the work and all of that. My humanness started coming in. And then I could step back. I could separate my lower self from my higher self and be not victimized by it and say, okay, it is what it is. Kids are sick. My plans are gone. We have to do what we have to do right now. Not only was I able to be a lot more present in the moment, I was able to not be frustrated and irritated. I mean, I would still take care of my kids even if I was frustrated, right? Every mom would. Okay, not every mom, but most moms would. But I was able to bring a lot of my presence in the moment. I was also able to take some time for myself when I realized that I needed that time. So I refused to stay there as a victim of the circumstance, which was everybody was sick and everything came down on my shoulders. All right. So, to conclude my journey, this year took me to the highest of highs and lowest of lows. The pendulum swung right and left and often so fiercely that I thought that I'll break. But I'm here, and only when I accepted my humanness and refused to be swung left and right and up and down and all the ways, but when I steadied myself on the ground I am on right now, I was able to rise above it. It's not happened in 6 months, 2 months, a day. It has taken years. And maybe some of those years have even been unconscious, right? I've probably been at it for lifetimes. Who knows? I also would have never had this insight if I did not give myself the gift of slowing down, looking back week after week, and combing through every leg of my journey this year. If you too would like to do the same to see how far you've come and the valuable lessons and insights you receive so that you can move ahead in the next year with more purpose, with a bigger vision, with more definite goals, I definitely recommend doing the year compass. And if you're not a big fan of writing down, I actually recommend that you write down, even if you're not a big fan of writing down. It is going to be very somatic. It's going to be very healing. Again, not a sponsor, just a fangirl. The second part of the compass builds on the first. I noticed that my goal setting and my intentions for this year are completely meshed and aligned with my higher self. And it revolves around things that bring me pure joy and bliss. They aren't some arbitrary goals that I was used to setting years before. They're rooted in the bigger vision I see for myself, and not just for my business, just for my whole self. They're deeply aligned to my core values. They have meaning behind them. They're not arbitrary at all. And they encompass all areas of my life and not just business. Now, I have no way of knowing where the next year will be, but having these goals and intentions gives me a solid compass that points to my true north, to my higher self. I'd love to know from you, what has been your biggest lessons this year? What are your goals and intentions for 2023? If you've done the year compass or you're going to do it in the next few years, email us on our official podcast email at hello@journeyhometoself.com. If you've already done this in another form of exercise or journaling or any other modality, then also tell me, what have been your lessons? What are your intentions and goals for next year? I would love to know. I will see you in the next episode. It's goodbye for now. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked this one or any other episode, there are 3 ways you can support us. Number 1, come home. Start your journey. That's literally the whole point of this podcast. To inspire you, to empower you, and to give you the knowledge and tools so you remember who you really are. Number 2, I'd be so grateful if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us get in front of more people. Number 3, share it with someone, a friend, a family member, a loved one, a peer. You never know how much someone needs to hear this today. Thank you again, and until next time, remember, you're whole, you're enough, you're worthy, you're unlimited, and you are perfect just the way you are. I'll see you next time.